Good morning, good morning, good morning. I know I look a mess. I need to shave, but just wanted to share. I'll wait till a few more till people come on and see if anybody comes on. So, y'all come on in here. Let me share something with you. Well, there's one person, so I'm gonna start talking because there's one person, and that person is important to me, whoever that person is. So I was making breakfast this morning and I was playing some good old school gospel music. And I wanted to share a tribute to some of my favorite songs from the Florida Mass Choir. Some of you probably don't even know that the Florida Mass Choir was a thing. But if you are a gospel person, if you were in your youth gospel choir, your youth church choir, you might remember some of these songs. Right? So I'm just going to play snippets of it, and I want you to tell me if you remember some of these songs. Let's see this. This piano playing on here is something serious. I hope y'all can hear this. I shouldn't be drinking orange juice early in the morning, but listen to this part right here. Listen, we would tear the church up with this song. Y'all don't understand. You won't have room to receive. This was 1981. Try me and see. I'll open up the windows of heaven. So jam. It was so, God, that was so good. Have room to receive. And we would sing the chorus over and over again, like 5 times before the actual verse comes in. It was so good. So good. Hey, Kendall. You don't know this song because you're too young. In darkness, you can't see the light. Boom, boom. Listen. They had probably about 100 people in the choir. Then they come back in. Yes, God. So then the vamp. Let me see if I can get to the vamp. Hold on. In sorrow. Did your church choir sing this song? If your church choir didn't sing this song, you're probably trash. Okay? You probably need some help. Go back and tell somebody they did you wrong. They did you dirty. All right. So that was Try Me and See from the Be Encouraged album from 1981. This is another one from the Be Encouraged album that every church choir I know have sung this song. Y'all ready? You're not ready for it. That piano playing though. That piano playing though. Right here. Let the redeemed of the Lord. Listen. You hear those chords in there? Let the redeemed tenor. Of the Lord. Let the redeemed of the Lord. I'm bringing this back. I'm bringing this song back. When I get a gospel choir, I'm bringing this back here. Yes, let the redeemed. Y'all go on iTunes and pull up this album. I'm telling you. It slaps so hard. Let the redeemed of the Lord. Let the redeemed of the Lord say. Real music, Chris. He has blessed you twice. Like you know. Get right here. Yes, let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Okay, and then they will redo it again. Hold on. My favorite part. Wait. Right here. Bump, bump, bump. Yes. Yup, bump, bump. Yes. Right here. Yes. Bump. Yes, let the what? That used to be the jam back in the day. Now, here we go. Oh my gosh. I remember this so good. So then it would get to the end, and every church choir mimicked this. Wait. They slide here. Right here, right here. Then they would do that right there, you know. Y'all know about that. Say so. Turn it, turn it, turn it. And they gotta hold it like this. Y'all know about that? They would shake their hand for you to hold it. Like this. Get right here. Yes, God. Turn it, turn it, turn it. Then they will slow it down. Listen. It's coming, it's coming. Oh God. I tell you, I love the Black Church Experience. That was from that 81 album. Still be encouraged. See, you probably don't remember this one, because if you weren't a real Florida Mass Choir fan, you probably don't remember this one. Yes, sir. 82. Oh, that's so good. That is so good. That is so good. And then the choir sang, He's steadfast, unmovable. Straight scripture. Straight scripture. And that is so awesome. It's so good. So good. And we all want to lead the song. Then soloist. I often wonder why. She bend that word like that. Come on now. Even though I search with hope and determination, so there's times in nothing but frustration. But when I kneel down to pray. That's a like, listen, classic. Every church choir song does it. Choir again. I'm moving on always. Oh God, that's so good. Oh, that's so good. I'm gonna start me a gospel choir just so I can sing these old songs. This is good church choir stuff. When y'all come out of this pandemic, y'all pull up these songs. Right here. My way seems so very hard. So much so I can't see the Lord. But when I kneel. Wrong words. Seems like I can't get enough words. I was. You know I could deal. Come on, sister. Yes, I kneel down to pray. That's good. When I'm done with y'all, I'm going to the gym. This is going to be my playlist when I get to the gym. But you got to wait till you get to the vamp. The vamp is what gets you. Let's see if she's going to do it. How did you know your neighbor? Your neighbor. Yes. Oh my. Your labor is not in vain. Then, wait, is this it? Right here, right here. Bum, bum. Hang on in there. So listen, we sang this so much, that little part, hang on in there, it's repeated so much until it gets into your spirit, till it gets into your heart, into your psyche. That people that don't understand the gospel experience don't understand that this part, the vamp part right here, this is where you drive it in the message. You know, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always about. Just hang on in there. Just hang on in there. By the time you get to the 10th time and you don't feel it in your heart, you don't feel it in your spirit and your soul, you ain't doing it right. You ain't doing it right. Your labor. What do we mean by my labor? Being kind and being just and being fair. Your labor. When people talk about you, but yet you still do right by them. And when you have, you know, when you're trying to do the best you can for the Lord, your labor is not in vain. All you got to do is, your labor is in vain. Listen to me. Your labor. And why? It's not in, because you got to hang on in there. Knowing that he that hath begun a good work in you shall perform it to the end. Come on. That's so good. I'm going to stop right there before I get happy in my kitchen. Listen, that is so good to me. Your labor is not in vain. Lots of times we want to give up. We want to give up doing good. We want to give up doing what's right. And the song just reminds us to hang on in there. You know, I heard somebody say one time, you know, when you feel like you're at the end of the rope, tie another knot and hang on some more. You know, that God gives us strength to continue just to hold on, to hang on. That is so good. That is so good. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm going to be, you know, doing abs to hang on in there. When I want to quit going to the gym, hang on in there. You know, this pandemic won't last always. Hang on in there, because your labor, wearing a mask, staying at home, will not be in vain. You didn't think I was going to tie it in that way. Praise the Lord. Listen, so that was in 1982. There's another one from that album called Lord, You Keep Proving Yourself. This is What a Time. That piano playing, they don't play like that no more. And these long old introductions. Y'all hear that? God's children. Yeah, what? What a time. What a time. We're going to sit by the banks of the river. By the banks of the river. Ooh. What a time. Now we would sing this as almost like the call to worship. As people coming into church, we let them know we come together, we gonna have a good old time. Yes, sir. Now, what does that mean when we say a good time? When we all God's children get together, we're going to have a good time. That means that, you know, God gives us, he said that he gives us beauty for ashes. He gives us oil. He gives us joy for the oil of mourning. And we put on a garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. So when we come into the presence of God with the other saints of God with the same mentality, then we're going to have a good time. That means that we're not going to sit in here and complain about things that are not going right. We're not going to complain about how much trouble that we're having right now, because everybody's going through some trouble. So how can we come out of that garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness and realizing that he is going to see us through? I love that piece. That's another one. So we're going to move on, and I'm going to hit two more, and then I'm going to get out of here because I got to go to the gym. I want to go back to the stay right there with that the 1982 album. I don't know if you know this one, but this song right here would tear the church up every time. Every time. Then it would sing, "Thou shalt the glory." And she would sing it that way too. Ooh. Thou shalt the Then she opened up more. Thank you, Lord, for saving my soul. Oh. For every act of prayer. Thank you, Lord. I know you'll always be there. Thine shall the glory be. Listen, this compound meter will get you every time. So we're going to skip a little bit. Terry, we're going to skip a little bit to get to one of my favorite parts. Wait. Okay, it's coming up. Here come that vamp. But if you walk in that bass line up, you know something about to happen. And ever. She sang it too. Thine shall the glory be forever and ever and ever. And we sang it, Terry, and we sang it forever too. Listen, that's all she sung. Glory. Right here. Glory. That breakdown. Hallelujah. You clapping till your hands get red, till sweat dripping off you, that choir robe. So let's think about that. Thine shall the glory be forever and ever and ever. That means that God's presence, God's authority, God's power will be forever and ever and ever. And that's why, and we call that in Western classical music word painting, where we're singing forever and ever and ever and ever. And you're just going on and on and on. And the word forever, we're singing it seemingly forever. And we get to that one part, hallelujah, which we know is the highest praise that you can give to our God. And we just drive it, hallelujah, we will sing that song until you just, the pastor couldn't even preach after that because the church has gone up in such a praise. You know, said, I believe it. We used to sing that song forever. I mean, that song is probably a 7-8 minute song on here. It's a 6 minute and 15-second song on iTunes. But yeah, that was one. So we're going to move on a couple of more years to some that you may even know. You may know this one. Now, if you were in a youth choir, if you were in a youth mass choir, these last two songs, if you didn't sing these last two songs right here, your youth choir director did you dirty. They did you dirty. Right here. Do you know it just off the introduction? Come on, Arthur Jones, sing it. Jesus is mine. Listen, it was an easy song that you could teach young people just like that. We learned it in like 10 minutes. And it's all you singing. Jesus is mine. Y'all get that bass line? It's so lit. But then here's the tenor line right here. Fred, tenor line right here. Oh, well, not yet. We got to sing the chorus 20 more times. I remember we were just young boys trying to sing this tenor line, right? Is it? Yeah, here. Morning, evening, boom. Boom. Singing my song, morning. Wait. The way we would sing it, because we didn't really have tenor voices sing like that, we would just try to act like we were men. Morning, evening. And it was so cute to see those little boys up there trying to sing that part. It was so lit. Sing my song, Jesus. Well, if I recall, in 87, I think I was still singing soprano. Everywhere I go, everywhere I be, oh, Jesus is mine. 24. Morning, evening. And they out there with them the black bottoms and the white tops because we ain't have no roles for the youth choir. And we up there, and we all swinging. Jesus. And yeah, some of the boys are there singing, and they were mad about it because they didn't want to be there, and their mama made them sing in the choir. Is this the vamp? Is this the vamp? Is the vamp? Right here. That bass line. The vamp was so lit. Even the ones that didn't want to sing in the choir, by this time they like, yeah, yeah. He's mine. Oh yes, he's mine. Then we do that little rock from side to side. Oh yes, he's mine. Yeah, then we start something about that name, yeah. That piano. Listen. Do y'all hear the way that piano playing is? Oh my God. Last song, and I'm going to get in here and go to the gym. Now, if you sung Jesus Is Mine, you probably sung this one too. If you don't know it from this right here, your youth church choir was trash. If you don't know what it is off of the introduction. Come on. I put it on. Y'all don't know the Florida Mass. I put it all in his hands. All of my burdens. Take that up. Listen. There's another one we sung for 30 minutes. In his hands. Okay. Yes, and then Terry on, we would do the hands. This, and that. All of my burdens. Listen, said, this was the jam back in the day. We would clap, right here. Whatever the problem, I put it all in his hands. I know that. Youth convention, that's right. This and that, I put it all in his hands. He can handle it. That's a fact. Yes, sir. Right here. No matter how great or small, he's the master of it all. Put it on. Yes, sir. Put it on. I put it on in his hand. Listen. Okay, so I'm gonna need y'all. I'm in here sweating, so I'm jamming so much in here. I'm gonna need y'all to go and download these CDs. This Florida Mass stuff was the soundtrack of our church youth back in the 80s. That was our youthfulness right there, man. Like that Jesus is mine and all in his hands, and then the adults, we were singing the Let the Redeemer of the Lord Say So, but like with the mass choir. Then the adults were saying all the other harder stuff. But listen, music back then, it was simple. It wasn't, the chords were easy because our faith is a singing faith. Bishop Jonathan Alvarado say this all the time. Our Christian faith is a singing faith. And if the people cannot sing along with us, then we are not doing them justice. And I think that some of our pieces are they're too difficult for congregational singing. We need to go back to the simplicity of the gospel and the simplicity of singing, and it's okay to have some songs that are challenging, and it challenges us musically, it challenges us we need to just make it easy. And I think that that was one of the things, that was one of the reasons Martin Luther left the Catholic Church and started the Lutheran protest, the Lutheran Reformation, Protestant Reformation, I'm sorry. And because he wanted the congregation to sing. And you know, when we talk about Catholicism back in those times, we talk about how they were, you know, they had a person that would lead them in song, but only the singers were singing, not the congregation. So here now, he wanted people to be able to sing together, because our faith is a singing faith. And I think that he was onto something. He thought that it should be sung in the vernacular of the people, that the people in Germany should not have to be singing in Latin. And he thought that you know, the people in Italy should be singing in Italian or what have you. But we just make things so difficult that our musical language is too hard. Now, the people cannot sing because the musical language is too challenging for them. Not everybody is a trained musician. You know what I'm saying? And some of these trained musicians, quote unquote, in the church are not really trained. Because if we put some of this music in front of you, let me go on from there. But anyway, just those of you that are out there that are composers, that are arrangers, consider the simplicity of a melody. I remember I was listening to Richard Smallwood say one time about his Total Praise, that he heard an arrangement of it, and it was, he appreciates when people do things, you know, it is an homage to his music, but when you cannot hear the melody, when you can't hear the melodic line in a song, when you have arranged it so that it is not recognizable, the original tune melody is not recognizable, then there's a problem. You know, is it the melodies, not so much the words issue? You know what, Leah? I think that it is sometimes. I think it can be the melody, sometimes, but I also think that it is also the words. I think that sometimes we compact too many words into a song that's supposed to be congregational. Now, if you have a solo, you can compose all day long. That means nothing is the same. It's different every section. But if you have a choir song, that the choir their job is to lead people in worship, their job is to lead people in musical adoration to our God, then I think it needs to be a little more simplistic so that people can catch on to the tune. Now, when I was leading worship back in the day, I don't really do it that much anymore. I would introduce a new song to the church choir. I mean, to the church, but I would also, and then the next Sunday I would revisit it again, sing it again, so that the people can pick up on it. You know what I'm saying? And then you also let them know. You also want to let them know that you know, where they can go and find this music, where they can listen to it, and they can also, you know, pick it up even more by listening to it on the radio. And now we're supporting our gospel artists as well. But yes, I think sometimes our melodic lines are too challenging for congregational singing. I think that we have too many words in our worship songs for congregational singing. And if you look at the hymnal, they have stanzas and everything is the same. It's very homophonic. It's all the same. Every stanza is the same. So if I messed up the first line, the first stanza, I can probably pick it up by the third or fourth stanza. And then I think that we sing a hymn and then we put it down. No, we need to sing it again so that people can pick it up. You know, we as educators, we talk about accommodations and modifications and scaffolding and all these wonderful things. But what we don't talk about is repetition. Repetition is really important in education. Like, you want somebody to remember something, you got to repeat it. I would tell my students all the time when I give them a new piece of music that we're going to sight read it. And I caught this from a friend of mine, one of my brothers in Denver. He said, second time is always better. I don't even talk about that you made mistakes. I just say, let's do it one more time. They repeat it. Then if we have to go back to a different section, I don't talk about the notes that you got wrong. What I do is I say, now add dynamics to this. You're going to pick up more notes by repetition. Your ear is going to hear some things that it didn't hear the first two times. So repetition is really good. I don't care what anybody say. You learn how to tie your shoe by doing it over and over again. Remember back in the day, we were in kindergarten when we had that cornbread paper, the big sheets of paper, and we had to practice on those lines of drawing the A. We had to, and the whole little top line was all A's and A's. And by the time we got to the end, we figured out how to make those A's. And then we went to the next line and we got the B. And we messed up the first couple. But by the time we got to the end of that row, we had figured it out. You know, why do our teachers used to make us go home and study the timetables? You know, we write it down. You know, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 3 is 3. We'd do that so many times. Repetition, it gets into your brain, it gets into your psyche, it gets into your long-term memory. Now, the issue with repetition, with a lot of people, is if you teach it wrong and they keep repeating it wrong, then they're going to retain it wrong. And then you're going to realize that it was wrong too late. And now it's going to be very difficult to unpaint that painting. You know, you can't do it. You can't do it. So our jobs as choir directors and leaders and musicians and teachers to learn, study ourselves, sit down with the CD, chart it out if you have to. I remember when I first learned how to teach gospel music, I would write down all of the words. Then I'll write S-A-T. I would get on my keyboard and I would do whatever the notes are. B, C, D. Under the word thine was B. Shall was a C. The was a D. Because I wanted to make sure that I was teaching it correctly. Now, I don't have to do that as much now because through repetition, I've learned how to maintain the parts. But yeah, if you don't know, you should write it down. Write it down. That's how I started teaching gospel music. I would have my sheet of paper. And sometimes if it's a song that's too difficult, if it's really, really challenging, then I will go back and use that. I'm not ashamed to say I will go back and use it. But it's not as often as I used to, not boasting or bragging about that. But yeah, be simple about it. You know what the Bible, you know what I think the Bible says, I can't remember exactly where it is, but I'll find it and tell you. It says, preach Jesus and Jesus only. That's all you need. You ain't got to talk about nothing else, but just preach Jesus. His birth, his life, his death, his resurrection. That's all you need to preach. Anything that we need to know about being a good Christian is that. So let's see. What about I hate to say it, the Christian songs? Sometimes I like to have use your songs in Black church. Yes. I'm sure you mind we rarely sing all the verses. I noticed that some of these songs are quite, yes, they are quite wordy, but some of them are really good. So yeah, so that's a good point, Leah, that you make. I like, this, I'm gonna get in trouble. I think I like the CCM, some of those CCM songs, the Hillsong songs. You know, we adapted a lot of those songs in our church and we made them gospel. We added our chords to them. We added our nuance to it. We turned them into more or less our own kind of, we usurped it, I guess we can call it appropriation. I don't know. Well, we took what they did and for our church. I think we had pushed our music out and it made it seem as if our music was not good enough. The black gospel music wasn't good enough for the black church, you know. So, and I do know that a lot of the Hillsong pieces have a lot of words, a lot of verses, but most of the time we just sing the chorus, you know. What is it? Lord, I lift your name on high, Lord, I sing praises, you know. Oh, I don't know if there's a verse there or not. There was another song I was thinking about that I can't remember now that had some verses to it. We only sing the chorus of it, and which is, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. If it's for congregational singing, I think it's fine. But in your private time, you should listen to see what, and I think the verses will give us context of the chorus. But if you don't understand what the verses mean, then you might not really understand the totality of the chorus. But just taking the chorus part out without any type of context could be a little dangerous, I think, at sometimes. But I know, yes, thank you. That's a good one. Yes. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great. And now, you know, the black church, we wore that one out. We wore that one out. I know the cancel culture is really strong right now. when it comes down to the CCM and the Hillsong stuff. And I respect people's expressions of worship. And your expression may not be my expression, but I don't condemn people's expressions of worship because they're different than mine. So I think that we have black composers who that have that black church experience that are writing music, and we can take those pieces and sing them in our church as well. We sing hymns in our black church, and majority of them were written by white people. Martin Luther wrote a whole bunch of them, and we still sing them. So I don't know if I answered your question. Let me see what David said. How long should you work with these sections? Some people get aggravated when they're not getting their parts. Listen, so this gonna sound ugly, David. Please don't. If you can't retain your part when I've taught it to you, and you can't regurgitate it back to me, you can't repeat it back to me after several attempts of me giving it to you, then this is going to sound harsh, but perhaps this is not the ministry for you. Maybe this is not the area of ministry that you should consider. You know, you can still sing in church. Yeah, Brian, we did. You can still sing in church. You don't necessarily have to be a choir leader. You know, I think that if you're going to sing in church, you should be able to hear your part, maintain your part when it's taught to you, and regurgitate your part when it's time to do so without a lot of prompting from me. Now, that's my personal opinion about that, because I think we waste a lot of time in our rehearsals because people cannot retain their part. Now, there are other things that people can do to help. Now, if you know that you're one of those that it takes you 10 times to get something, then that's fine. Then you should have your tape recorder in your rehearsal. You should be listening to the CD. You should ask your director, or if you have a section leader, can you meet with me after rehearsal or before rehearsal so that you can work with me on this, because I really want to get it. But if you are getting, if you're never getting it, then that's maybe an issue. That's like if I got bunions. I got bunions on my feet, or if I got a bad leg, why am I going to join the usher ministry? You know what I'm saying? If I know I got to stand at that door majority of the service, and I got bunions and all kind of stuff on my feet, and I'm complaining the whole time. Sonny, sit down. Maybe you need to join the children's ministry. Well, you can go back there and play cards or something, because this is not for you. And I think that we do the church a disservice when we just put people in places because we needed to be filled. And I don't think that's right. Just because I need somebody I need singers, I'm not going to get up there and just, you know what I'm saying? I'm not just going to get up there and ask you to come and join the choir because I need singers, knowing that you can't sing and match pitch. Absolutely not. If I know that you got a nasty attitude and your demeanor is off, I'm not going to ask you to be on the hospitality ministry. I'm not going to do that. If I know that you have an issue with reading, I'm not going to ask you to read the announcements just because you're the deaconess. That don't work like that. No. Psalm 33:3 said, you know, we should play, you know, we should play skillfully. So for me, and I interpret that to not just be playing music, but teaching. You know, you got to read your word. You got to pray. You got to take notes. You got to write some stuff down if you're going to teach. You know, if you're going to be a preacher, you're going to be a person that's going to be in front of people talking. You got to have fluidity of speech. You got to be able to pronounce words. You need to be able to be a great orator. Because I don't want to have to sit there and listen to you monotone because you just, you know, you say God gave you a calling. Well, I'm going to pray that God give you a speech, because I don't want to hear that. You know, and we do the church a disservice. My personal opinion, ain't nobody's pastor. I'm just saying, you know, and I know at Living Truth, when we were at Living Truth, it was Leah and I were at Living Truth on the praise team. Patrice Tankard, y'all, I mean Ben Tankard, Ben Tankard. Oh, let me get on that card. Hold on. Ben Tankard's sister, Patrice Tankard, she was our organist, and she would, before we got on the praise team, we had to write an essay about what is worship, what is praise, and why do we want to be on the praise team. We had to write a paper before she would let us on there. When we were at we was at Bishop Alvarado Church when I first joined. You had to audition to be in the choir. We got to make sure you can match pitch. That's right, Lily. We got to give God our best. And then you know what? Then when they singing off key and when things are not right, you going to get mad and looking at the choir director. Why she let him get up there like that? Why he let them get up there like that? Well, that's because we are too jellyback to tell people maybe this is not the ministry for you right now. Now, Carlos, when I think about the Moses thing, that he said that, you know what, I can't speak, but what did he do? He sent him Aaron. He said, I'm going to send Aaron going to go with you. And right. Especially now, Pete, because everything is online. Church is online. And if your sound is not right, ain't nobody, I'm turning to the next church. If you singing out of tune, I cannot, as a musician, as a singer, as a human being, sit and listen to you saying out of tune and people not knowing words. I can't worship in that type of environment. That's me personally. Now, maybe somebody else got their hard ear and they can just go on in and lift their hands when people singing off key. I can't do that. That's not my ministry. Okay? You know, now I don't have the ministry to embarrass people like you singing wrong. We sing those videos on Instagram. You know, is that the best you got? No, I don't believe in embarrassing people like that. Now, we going to get it right before we go out there. Or if the middle of the song, if I hear that it's not going right, then we going to cut it off. And we going to go on to something else. You know what I'm saying? Because we should do things in excellence. With excellence. And it's not excellent when you're singing out of tune. And then David, yeah, they look into the first thing they do, look at the musician. And the singer do that too. The singers would do the same thing. They will look at the musician if they know that if they're off and they don't want to take the blame, they look at the musician. The musician looking at them like, I'm playing in two different keys. My right hand is playing in F and the bass line over here is playing in D flat because you're singing in two different keys. Yeah, we don't need numbers. We don't need numbers. We need quality. And I say that at my school choir here. I've said that since I've been teaching forever. Quality over quantity. And I'm going to tell you another thing, what I believe personally, Dr. McNeil, is that when you get that quality core group, quality is going to come to you. Anybody can join a 100-member choir and feel like they're doing something, you know, but if you have a small ensemble that's really singing well and they have a heart and a passion for doing it right, you're going to get more people that way. Because people want to be a part of excellence. I don't want to be a part of trash. I tell my choir, I don't want to be a part of mediocrity. And I'm not mediocre. And if you're mediocre, then you need to go down to the registrar and get you something else. You know, whosoever let them come to the audience. You can sing. He said, let everything that have breath praise the Lord. But he didn't say they had to be in the choir. Let them come and sit in the audience. You don't have to be in my choir and you singing out of tune. Now, maybe we need to have a little training choir. I don't know. I'm just saying. You do with whatever you feel is best for you and your ensembles and your choirs but I'm gonna tell you now, if you singing out of tune and you know your notes are not right, we're gonna have to have a conversation. And I believe in giving people a second chance. You know, Hezekiah Walker taught us that you're a God of a second chance. And then Lillian Lord came back and said another chance. I'm like, but how many anothers are we going to give people? You know, I'm not God. I'm not God. So my patience is not as Job. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. But Yeah, people can come. You can sing, and I told him you don't have to sing. He said, "Let everything have breath, praise the Lord," and we all should sing songs and hymns and spiritual songs. But he didn't say that you need to do it in the mic. You can do it from the audience. There are plenty of people in the audience who are singing out of tune, but we can't hear them. Oh yes, sir. Oh, absolutely. Calling them all out. And you know what, Dr. McNeil, I would say all the time, Sunday's best is not on TV, not on BET. They sitting in the pews in the church, or they're leading worship on Sundays, or they're doing devotion and Bible study. Those are the Sunday's best. The people that work hard to present and to perform for God on Sundays. That's the best. That's the Sunday's best. Not those folks that's out there on TV, you know, every Sunday. Sunday's best is on Sunday mornings in their church, serving their local ministry. Okay? Right? I remember when I was singing, "Make a joyful noise from your seat." Yes, sir. Especially at Bishop Jonathan Alvarado Church, because he will get you together. I've seen him plenty of times counting for the musician, telling them where to go. Yes, sir. And I used to be deathly afraid to sing at Carlos, you need to sit down, because you ain't gonna let nobody can't sing in your choir. I'm not even gonna sit here. You trying to patronize this morning. Go on, lay down. Go and lay down. Absolutely not. So this is one thing. That's a good point, David. One thing that I've done, and I'm not about, you know, you got Dr. Anderson on here. She is a voice specialist. I'm just a lowly choir director. You know, I don't really do much. But one thing that I do is, and I heard this at a workshop, that you have students. You have people to speak their alphabets. You know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You know, and some people would try to sing A, B, C, D, E. Nope, just say it. Say the alphabets. And eventually the voice will settle into a tone, a specific pitch register. And I find that pitch, and I was like, oh, this is where you, so I start right there on whatever pitch it is, you know, A, B, then get there. And I'm like, then I'm starting here, da, 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 da. And we just kind of, you know, work that way. And I found that to be very successful for, wait, Lily, wait, ooh, I'm supposed to be going to the gym. Okay, but wait, I want to put a pin on that, Lily. Let's come back to that. So yeah, a lot of gospel singers, a lot of gospel choir members are singing out of their vocal range. A lot of these people that are singing soprano are really not sopranos, you know, or they don't know how to navigate. I don't want to say manipulate. I don't want to get in trouble with the vocal pedagogues. Navigate their voices, their vocal instrument to be able to sing a certain part. And another thing too, a lot of our tenors that we say are tenors are really baritones, and we are ruining their voices by making them sing high F's and G's in this gospel music, because we think that gospel should only be 3 parts. That was a Selah moment, so that can sink into your head, that it doesn't have to be 3 parts, that gospel music can be 4 parts. I asked Richard Smallwood, I believe it was Richard Smallwood at one time, it was some song I was listening to, and I said, well, I'm trying to find a score, and I want to find the bass line, and he said, oh, just listen to the bass. Because I was trying to create a bass, and he said, just listen to the bass, and it never dawned on me, just listen to the bass line, the bass part for these singers, so they can sing in their vocal range. I mean, and then on top of that, you have them singing, sing loud, sing from the diaphragm. Where does that, how you sing from the diaphragm? Ain't no sound coming from there. If I'm not mistaken, Dr. Anderson, the sound comes out the voice box. I don't know if it comes from a diaphragm. A diaphragm is a part of the respiratory process to breathe. But that's not, no. We have to change our way of thinking. And then another thing that we do too, we say, take it up. Take it up. What does that mean, take it up? Let's use the proper word. Do you mean invert or modulate? And then let's teach, when we do an inversion, let's teach them, okay, now the alto is going to take the soprano line. So you heard this part. You take it, yeah. And it doesn't have to always be in thirds. Yes, That is such a good point. And I think that, and that's one thing that I like about Ricky Dillard's new project. It is not straight thirds like we're not that homophonic sound that we're used to hearing in gospel, but it is something different. I want to go back. Let me scroll back to Lily Allman Harris, my big sister from Virginia State, wonderful, wonderful musician and singer. She said, "Can we talk about preachers that model bad singing?" Now, if you I think, my opinion, and this ties into your next thing that you said, there's a difference between choral part and voice type. I think, I don't know if that ties in, but what I want to say about that part, I think that every preacher should take a music lesson. I think every pastor should take a music lesson. I think that people need to know that, yeah, I'm serious. I'm serious, because I think that you will appreciate the art form much better if you actually take a lesson or two. I think you should have to sit down and take a voice lesson. You should take a piano lesson and see how challenging it is to do those things. You know, and on top of that, now you will risk. I think you'll respect, because I think a lot of times our pastors, and I'm just speaking generically here, that I think that sometimes our preachers and pastors don't understand the process of making music. You just can't get up here and just sing on Sunday, or you can. I should say the process of making good music. I think that they should take a lesson. They should take some lessons. I don't care what nobody say about that. You should take some lessons. And you can tell those pastors that have had musical training or musical background that they don't let stuff slide like that. Bishop Jonathan Alvarado was not going to let anything slide that wasn't good. You can watch that on Sunday mornings. He'll turn around and he doesn't embarrass anybody, but he'll turn around and sing your soprano part for you real quick and get you right together. Well, see, then more people don't go to seminary. People don't go to seminary. You know, let's see what Dr. Tony says here. That's not the bass part. Create one. Yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't have to be doubled. It doesn't have to be just in thirds or three part. It should be a little bit more than that. Come on here. Come on, Dr. Anderson. Use that degree. Yes, ma'am. Y'all read what she said. She is the expert in that. And another thing, see, y'all got me going on another thing. Yeah, Pastor Jacobs didn't let stuff slide either. It's true, Pete. You know it's true. I watch him every Sunday and I see it. Come on. You know he ain't gonna let it ride. He gonna turn around, look at you, and lean into you. He'll lean into you and sing your part. Don't play. So, yeah, and we don't have to have long rehearsals. If your rehearsals are intentional, if your rehearsals are pre-planned, you know, I think if some gospel choir church directors who have not, a lot of them have not had any type of formal training, no shade on anybody. And it goes back to, years ago when you just had to have somebody to fill that spot. And, Sister Jessie, she could play a little bit, so we put her over the choir. It's just because you can sing well doesn't mean you need to be a choir director. Just because you sing well, you don't need to be a choir director. You know what I'm saying? So, and just because you can play the piano doesn't mean you can be a choir director too. It's a skill set that you have to have. And it's not all musical. Being a choir director is not having all encompassed in just having skills in music. You got to be a people person. You got to be able to motivate folks. You got to be very persuasive to get people on your side to have buy-in to what you're doing. Because if not, remember that they're volunteering. And then a lot of times we want to beat them over the head because they don't come, they don't show up, but they probably because they don't really like you or they're not really enjoying the experience. I'm just throwing it out there. So if they're enjoying the experience, they're going to show up, they're going to work for you, and they are going because they see something in you that I tell my students all the time. I care about the whole child, not just you coming to my class at 10 o'clock Monday through Friday. But I care about when you leave my class and you go to algebra, how are you doing in that class? You know, getting to know people. Yeah, you got to know folks. And the church politics, absolutely. Absolutely. You got to be pleasant. And you know, and they said a lot about you know, Maddie Moss, and we saw the movie, and we all know it was true, throwing the shoes and that kind of stuff, and we laugh about it, but that was a psychology in that too, and that was good for that time period. Now, will we do that today? I hope you're not doing that today. Have I thrown something at somebody? Well, I ain't gonna say that on this live, but you know, whatever. But have we ever said anything demeaning or anything that was not encouraging to people? Yeah, we've done those things too. But as we grow and as we learn, I'm not the same choir director I was 10 years ago or 16 years ago when I first started. I know more and I know better, and I know a little bit more about best practices. You know, Carlos, get off my line. But I know more about best practices about how to get people on your side. And a lot of that is an inclusive type of academic experience where the students feel involved. They feel a part of what's happening. If your choir members have buy-in, they will do anything for you. My high school kids, I would tell them, we're going to have rehearsal on Saturday morning at 7, and they will show up because they cared about me. It was the personality, it was the rapport, it was the relationship that we built, and that they've had some semblance of success. It was success that they had, that we make sure they would have opportunity to be successful. Listen, they will do whatever. Let's see, is that they are in a position like you and said music, and with music background, and you don't even know the song. Ooh. Well, I mean, you know. Okay. Because a lot of times people, when we get to these levels, we feel like we don't need to study anymore. You don't need to study anymore because you have a doctorate degree. Oh, I have a degree in music and I can just get up here and listen to the part and teach it to you. Absolutely not. When I go out, now I can read music pretty decently, but when I go to my job, when I'm teaching my choir, I have marked up my score. I know exactly what I want them to do on page 5 before they get to page 5. Now, we may not get to page 5 today, but I already studied the entire thing to prepare myself to be in a position of excellence for them. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to come in there trying to, and I've done it a couple times, you know, I ain't going to say that I have not walked in a rehearsal and was like, oh, you know, I'm going to just wing it. You know, I've done that, you know, and those were the rehearsals. Not all of them, because some of them turned out okay because God's grace is sufficient. But there are some of those times when I've gone there trying to wing it, and it was a total, like you said, train wreck. Train wreck. And absolutely, Brian, we get stuck because we think we can learn quickly and that we are good. No, baby. Because what in your preparation, David, what I think people miss, the preparation, not only am I looking at the score for its face value, but I'm also looking at where there may be trouble spots. Where are they going to have an issue with this song? And how am I going to troubleshoot that before the issue even happens? How am I going? I'm going to make a plan for page 5 before we get to page 5 because I know that those rhythms are tricky. I know that that leap up to this is going to be tricky, and we got to work, you know, talk about the passaggio and how we're going to flip to a different part of our vocal mechanism to do that. So I'm going to prepare myself for those issues, even in gospel. Like, I was listening to Ricky Dillard's Let There Be Peace on Earth. I wish Dr. McNeil would go ahead on and chart that out so I could learn it. And I was sitting in my And I was listening, and you know what I did? I listened to that part. I listened to the song about 3 times. And I just sang the soprano part over and over again. Then I went to the keyboard and I tried to play the soprano part to make sure that what I was hearing was what was actually happening. You know, before you go into trying to teach somebody something, he said, oh, let me listen to, then you pull out let me listen to the CD one more time to make sure I got it. Now, what's happening there? You are losing credibility with your ensemble. They're like, well, he's not even prepared. And that ill preparedness lets the choir members know in their mind, some of them, you don't care about us. You don't care about our success, which is equivalent to some of them that you don't care about me. You don't care about me. But when I come prepared and I have those trouble spots in my head and I'm ready to fix it already, that lets them know that I care about you. I want you to be successful. That's why I'm overly prepared for this. And I'm not going to waste your time. We're not going to be here 3 or 4 hours trying to learn one song either. Because I care that much about you to be prepared. I'm going to spend 20 minutes on this part and I'm going to move on to something else. Now, I may come back to that? Yes, I may come back to that, but I'm not going to just beat that into your head for an hour like some gospel church choir directors I know and have been a part of. That's all they do. We singing one song for a whole hour. Absolutely not, because you want to sing it on Sunday. No, you don't. I'm glad I went to a Presbyterian church in Denver, and y'all can say what y'all want to say about these white folks and these Presbyterians, but this man here, he planned out the whole month of music. So we started learning the 5th Sunday music doing the rehearsal at the beginning of the month, and he would just chunk at it every rehearsal. Once a week. It was only on Thursdays. Every Thursday, we would do this little couple pages right here. Then we'll go on to something else, and then we're going to rehearse what we're going to sing for. So now it is a scaffolding thing that's taking place now that we don't really think about, you know. And I'm glad that I sat under that for those 3 years, because I learned, oh, he's preparing for 5th Sunday already. He has a list of songs already ready. It was already in our folders. We already knew what the song was going to be. We can take it home and start learning it. It made the rehearsal go just like that because he was prepared. And people showed up on Thursdays because they know that he was prepared. And that lets us know that he cared about our success, which means he cares about me. You ain't got to believe it. Check your choir and then let me know. And it's hard, and it's challenging, Lily, and you know, that's what we were taught. You know, we planned the entire season. You know, we started learning holiday music way back when. You know, when school starts in August, we started chunking some of that stuff in September. You know, at least one piece or two. You know, it's not, you know, you don't wait till December 1st to say, well, let me get the Christmas concert music together. That doesn't work that way. And one thing that I loved about the church in Denver is that he did a masterwork every spring. And at the end of the spring masterwork, let you know what you're going to do for the next spring. Come on now. Who does that? Being prepared. Being prepared. And over the summer, what they did a reading session, and he would read through masterworks, because I was one of the clinicians one time, and one of the masterworks that they read through is the one that they're going to sing in the spring. Listen, prepare. Being prepared. And then we sing it, Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Prepare. So we asking the Lord to prepare me. But what part of the preparation am I participating in? Oh, yeah, we have to do better. And I think we are. I think this pandemic is calling us to do better and causing us to already start doing better. Because you have to. Because I'm going to tell you, if we have to sit online, do church online for another couple of months, people, right, he's preparing. People's attention span is very short. But if I'm sitting in church and it's a bad experience, I'm probably going to be too embarrassed to get up and walk out. But if I'm watching a bad experience, I'm probably going to click somewhere else. You know what I mean? So just think about that. Just think about that. Yeah. And most of us, Freddie, educators, we do preparation well. And Lily, they think that the music teachers, we get off on the summer and X, Y, and Z, but they don't realize that we are sitting in our houses looking at scores. We are on webinars. We are going to conferences. We are reading books. We are trying to get professionally developed, Freddie, right? We're not just sitting around, at a tiki hut with a drink, with whatever drink you drink. I have orange juice, praise the Lord, because I'm... So that's not the way that it works, But we let them think what they want to. But now they see, I think people see now the value of educators. But anyway, y'all, I'm about to get off here because I need to go on to the gym. Y'all messed me up today. I just wanted to come in here and talk a little bit about the Florida Mass Choir, and we got talking about being choir directors and things. I don't know how that worked out like that, but one of my colleagues, Dr. Tammy Cronodal, she said, "Ooh, I can tell when you get passionate about something." I was like, "How?" She said, "Yeah, you start talking loud and you get very animated." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I get very passionate about some things, and I think that we all got to stay. And Lily, see, you need to stop talking because you said something that makes. I had an issue with parents participating in my program when I taught public school. I could never get parents to come and supervise kids during my shows, during my concerts. It was like pulling teeth. And I asked them, why can I not get parents to participate? The curtain is closed, we behind stage. I mean, all hell breaking loose back here. And I'm back here hollering and people screaming and we trying to put on wigs and put on makeup and costumes and everything is going crazy. And the parents in the audience, but when the curtains open, lights, camera, action, we smiling and dancing and everything is great. And the parents were like, "Oh, well, it was just running so smoothly, we didn't think we needed to help." Why did you think it was running? I'm going home at the end of the night, my feet swole, my voice gone, my eyes all red from crying, I'm just frustrated. But y'all sitting in the audience chilling. And they thought it was so well put together that they didn't need to help. And I'm like, well, well, I'm sorry that you thought that, but it's not. It's not. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful that, it just worked out that way, but geez, help the people. Oh, Lord, is that Victor? Oh, gosh, it's Victor Johnson. Oh, okay. Well, y'all know Victor Johnson is a composer, conductor, teacher extraordinaire. He on here. Lord, I hope I said something right. I respect him immensely. Immensely. Y'all check out his work. His work is amazing. And K-Pad is on here. My brother from another mother and a father. I don't know how that worked out. But anyway, excellent composer. Y'all would never look at him and think that he played at a Pentecostal church. He knows some of these songs. He done played that B3. Play with it. Tell him, Kevin. You know. So, but, and I said this, and I don't know why I keep saying this, Leah, that I think I want to I've always wanted to do a podcast. I've always wanted to do some type of, on Facebook Live or, interviewing people and talking about these issues and stuff. But I'm not the expert on these things. I'm going to tell you, there's some people out here that can teach and tell you some stuff and you don't even know their names. And it is amazing. I learned stuff just from watching other people, being under pastors and leaders and teachers who were just excellent at what they did, And listen, I'm not, but one thing that stops me, Leah, is that and I'm gonna tell you this. I remember when you remember this. You probably don't remember this, but when we was at Living Truth, and I went to Pastor Jacobs, and I was like, I felt the Lord is calling me to preach, and I was like, but I don't think I want to do it because people ain't gonna take me seriously because I joke too much. I laugh too much. And I remember he said, well, God needs all types of people. He needs all kind of people. And I'm like, well, I don't know. And even here in the classroom, I'm like, these kids are not gonna, I don't know enough, But I'm gonna tell you what, I don't know, it just comes out you. It just comes out your pores. When you love it, it just comes out you. And I don't have the eloquence of speech. I'm not an orator like, Bishop Alvarado and Dr. Tony and some of you all that are out there that can speak much more eloquently than I can. But I have the passion for it. I really do. And so we'll see. This pandemic is bringing out a whole bunch of stuff out of people. I mean, I've seen all kind of Facebook Live, Zoom conferences. They're doing entire conferences on Zoom and virtual conferences. I think it's amazing. Do I miss the personal touch? Absolutely. But I think it's really interesting how we are utilizing the tools that were given to us. Catch this, Pete. The tools that when they first came out, people thought they were devilish. Y'all ain't gonna talk about y'all ain't gonna want to talk about this part. When the internet came out, people talked about that's the devil. They gonna be in your business. They gonna be in there doing all kind of stuff that ain't holy. X, Y, and Z. They didn't want to be a part of it. Oh, I ain't never gonna be online. We're not gonna put our church, I ain't gonna do that. Now look at the same tool that you talked about is the one you use on Sunday morning to broadcast your preaching to the entire world. And to me, Pete, God is so good. God is so good and so awesome that he allowed them to invent this technology, knowing that in 2020 this pandemic was going to happen and we were going to need, that the entire world was going to need this technology. The same thing that they thought was blasphemous and the same thing they thought was unholy, now we're using it for God's glory. Isn't that strange? I think it's strange, but that's just me. So, y'all be safe out there in these Rona-filled streets. And y'all, we'll see what I'm going to do. I'm just a little country boy that grew up on a dirt road that just love what I do. And I'm not the best at it, but I'm going to tell you one thing. As I used to tell my students all the time, you can find a better choir director, but you won't find anybody that's going to love me like you. That's right. You ain't going to find nobody that's going to love me like you. Go on down there to the other person and let them teach you better. But they're not going to care for you like I do. Catch that. And I'm getting off of here. Y'all done talked me to death. My battery done about gone dead. Yes. Miami Mass used to sing a song that said, what God has for me, it is for me. What God has for me, it is for me. I know without a doubt that he will bring me out. I don't think I made those words up. What God has for me, it is for me. Then the part I love, it is for me. It is for me. What God has for me, it is for me. I know without a doubt that he would bring me out. What God has for me, what God has for me, What God has for me, it is for me. Now, would you believe I sung that somewhere, and this old mother stood up and said, that song is not godly. He said, what God has for you is for somebody, it's for you to bless somebody else. Okay. But doesn't he have to give it to me first? He got to give it to me first before I can give it to you. Somebody preached a sermon one time about drinking out the saucer. In order for the saucer to get filled, my cup has to be filled and running over for you to drink out the saucer. The crumbs on the master's table, there had to be a cake on the table first that he was sitting at before a crumb fell on the ground. So what God has for me, it's for me. Yes? And then he gives me the ability to share it with you. Right? I got to go because I got to get out of I'm a size 32 in the waist, and before Rona I was wearing a 28. So I have no clothes to wear, and I got to go drop a couple of waist sizes. What God has for me, it is for me. I love you all very much, and you'll be seeing me again sometime soon. All right. Bye.